Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Game Society, I call this the tale of the conclusion of the Heirs of Blood campaign. Alright everyone, this is the conclusion scenario for the Heirs of Blood campaign. This is Blood and Betrayal Encounter 3. So the goal of the heroes right here is to go all the way up over here and defeat Eliza. And then the Overlord's goal is each turn, Tyrus right next to Eliza over there will be taking damage. If he gets knocked out, then the Overlord wins. First up, the Overlord has Lady Eliza Pharaoh herself. She has a sacrifice ability, so she can sacrifice minions to heal up. She can seduce the heroes by making them move a space and stun them. She has this wail, which makes everyone within 3 spaces of her test willpower. If they lose fatigue. And then she also has a search for blood call to get some lifesteal back. She does a ranged attack with 1 color of each die. She's being equipped with Shield of Zorak's Favor, so if she takes some damage, is not knocked out, she has a chance to test her might and then do some damage in retaliation. Next up, from the second encounter, they still have Sir Ulrich Pharaoh right here. He has regeneration, so he heals up 1 each turn. He has 5 damage on him from the last encounter. He is unmovable, so he can't be moved in any way, shape, or form. He has this overpower movement where he keeps moving, and then whenever he goes next to a hero, he gets to test his might. If he is successful, he swaps places with them, and then they get a fatigue, so it's good to drain them of stamina there. He has a surge to do extra damage. He has melee attack with the blue die and 2 red dice. He's being equipped with the Staff of Shadows, which is good to discard Overlord cards to get new ones, or to discard a card to reroll dice. The last agent is Lord Merrick Faro from the second encounter. He has 9 damage on him from the last encounter. He has this aftershock, so when people attack him in melee, they have to test. If they fail the test, they take a damage back. He has Ignite, which does damage to everyone around him. And then he also has Search for Wither, which adds fatigue tokens, and he can search for a little bit more damage. He's a ranged attacker with 1 color of each die. He's being equipped with the Duskblade Relic. The main thing is he can pierce 5, which is good for the Surge, and also any heroes that start next to him lose 1 speed for the turn. Next up are the Flesh Molders. They are a ranged attacker with blue and yellow dice right here. They can also use a Surge for mending themselves, and then the Master One can heal someone else nearby. Next up are the Zombies. They use blue and yellow dice, and the Master One also adds in a red dice. They're a melee attacker. They have Shambling, so they can only move once each round, and then they can Search for Disease, which have the heroes test willpower. If they fail, they start getting fatigue. The Master One can grab, which is mobilizing the heroes, and they can search for extra damage. They also get to control Shadow Dragons, which are melee attackers. They get to use 1 blue die and 2 red dice. They can search for extra damage. The Master One gets to do this Fire Breath, which is 4 squares that it gets to pick and choose to attack all of them. And they have this Shadow ability where when they're hit up in melee, if a Surge is not used, the whole attack is a miss. Next up are the Barghest. They're melee attackers. They get a red and blue dice. The Master One also gets a yellow dice. They have this Howl ability where all of the heroes within range 3 have to test willpower. If they fail, they get drained of fatigue, and then they can search for some extra damage. And then the Master One has Night Stalker, so if it's attacked at range, it gets an extra brown defensive die. Next up are the Goblin Archers. They are ranged attackers with blue dice and yellow dice. The Master One gets an extra yellow dice. They have Scamper, so they can move past the heroes. The regular ones have Cowardly, so they cannot do their range or extra damage surge unless if they're within 3 of an agent or a master minion. And then the Master One gets to do slightly higher values for the range and extra damage. They also get Ettins, which are a large monster. They are a melee attacker. They get a blue die and 2 red dice. They all have reach, so they can attack 2 spaces away. They have Surge for some extra damage, and the Master One can throw a hero 3 spaces away. Also has them take a damage if they're successful with their test. And last up are the Cave Spiders. They get 1 blue die and 2 yellow die as melee attackers. They can do this poison, which the heroes have to test might at the beginning of their turn, or else they take a damage. They can search for some extra damage right here. And then the Master One also has web, so if the heroes are moving from a space next to a Master Spider to any other space, they suffer a fatigue. Also, the Overlords are going to spend 1 threat token right here for the Eventual Resolve plot card for attaching it to the Flesh Molders. They can then exhaust this card, and then while this card's exhausted, anytime the Flesh Molders take a damage, the heroes also take a damage. I'm sorry, we're not spending the threat token yet, they just are attaching this to the Flesh Molders. Also, at the beginning of the encounter, the Dark Champions plot card is going to be used for 3 threat tokens. We will hand these out as fortune tokens when we get to the heroes, but this will be exhausted. Each Master minion will get 2 health and an additional brown die to their defense, and they have another surge option of additional 2 damage. First up for the heroes is Shalara. She has 10 damage on her from the first encounter, so she only has 1 health left. For items, she has Mana Weave, Ice Storm, and Leather Armor, and then for skills, she has her Bright Blaze Familiar, Iron Will, quick casting, Rune Mastery, Runic Knowledge, and Exploding Rune, and she's going to get one of the fortune tokens. Next up is Tatiana. She has 10 damage from the previous encounter. For items, she has Latari Longbow and Heavy Cloak, and then for skills, she has Accurate, First Strike, Danger Sense, Nimble, and Running Shot. Next up is Grisband. He has 11 damage from the previous encounter. For items, he has Chainmail, Grinding Axe, and Lucky Charm. For skills, he has Weapon Mastery, Death Rage, Charge, Brute, and Rage. I forgot it earlier, but we are giving Tatiana one of the fortune tokens. Last up for the heroes is a Sharon. She has 6 damage from the previous encounter. For items, she has Demon Hide Leather and Steel Greatsword. And then for skills, she has Drain Spirit, Stone Skin, Ancestor Spirits, Healing Rain, and Cloud of Mist. She's also going to get the last fortune token. At the beginning of the hero's first turn, Grisband's going to move 3, 1, 2, 3. He's going to attack this zombie with his second action with the Grinding Axe. He gets a blue die and 2 red dice against the brown die. He's trying to do 5 damage. All right, let's see what he gets right here. Has to go into the castle. He ends up getting, it looks like, let's pull this all out, 6 damage and 2 surges. He doesn't really need the surges because the zombie's going to get knocked out, and then the unspent surge could get rid of a fatigue. If he had any on him, he's full up from the previous encounter, so the zombie gets knocked out. Let's go ahead and remove the zombie from the map, and that's the end of Grisband's turn. Next up for the heroes is a Sharon. She's going to use Healing Rain, so all the heroes within range 3 are going to heal based on 2 red dice rolls. All right, let's go ahead and put the 2 fatigue right there, roll the 2 dice and see what she gets. Actually, it's 1 red dice roll, not 2. All right, so everyone's going to heal 2 health. So let's go ahead and start with her. She goes from 6 down to 4 right here. Shalara heals up 2, so 10 down to 8. Tatiana also heals 2, so 10 down to 8 as well. Last up, Grisband gets to heal up 2 right there. And for her second action, Sharon's going to do Cloud of Mist, so she has to exhaust this and spend a fatigue. Any attack within range of 3 of a Sharon, anyone would have to spend a surge, or else that attack is a miss. Next up is Tatiana. She's going to attack the master zombie right here, but she's going to use Running Shot, so she gets to move 2 spaces first. She's going to go 1, 2 right here. She needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 range. 5 because of her hero ability. She's attacking with her Latari Longbow. She gets 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 brown dice. She's trying to do 11 damage total. Remember, she needs 5 range first. She did get the range. Let's go ahead and bring all of this out. So it's going to be 3 damage and a surge right there. She has a reroll. She's going to use Accurate on this die right here. She's just hoping to get more than 1 damage. All right, same thing. So it's going to be 3 damage plus a surge for 2 damage. Actually, the zombie gets 1 more brown die because there's only 1 in the base game. We're using the Master Champions or the Dark Champions card right over here. I'm just going to mention this one more time, where they all get an extra brown die, the Master minions. All right, so it's no defense. There is a Pierce 1 with the bow, but we did get 1 defense, but we have the Pierce 1. So back to the 3 damage and search for 2 more. 5 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 5 damage right there on the zombie. She's then going to once again attack this master zombie. She's going to attack and then use her Running Shot movement afterwards. Same thing, 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 brown dice. She's trying to get 5 range once again, so let's see if she gets that first. She does get the range. Let's pull this all out. It looks like there's 3 damage and 2 surges. The first brown die is none, no defense, so we have to go ahead and roll the second die. There's no dice, no defense again. So it's 3 damage plus the surge for 2 more, so it's 5 damage. She does not have unspent fatigue, or else she would have been able to use that to remove 1. Forgot real quick, she wants to use Accurate right here to re-roll this to see if she can just get 1 more damage. She does not, so 5 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 5 damage right there, and then for Running Shot, she's going to move 1, 2 right over there, and that's the end of Tatiana's turn. Last up for the heroes is Shalara, but before she goes, she's going to move Bright Blaze Familiar 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here. Then she's going to move 1, 2, let's put her right over here, 3, then she's going to use 1 fatigue to do Exploding Rune right here to hit these 2. She's going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 range. She's using her Ice Storm, 2 yellow die and a blue die, and we're going to roll this first zombie's brown die. Let's go ahead and place the fatigue right here for the Exploding Rune. Remember, she needs 4 range. The first one she's trying to do 5 damage to. Let's go ahead and roll that. We got the range. We got 6 range. So let's pull this all out. We have 4 damage against 1 defense. There is no pierce. We are going to spend Mana Weave for a surge, and with that surge add 2 more damage, so that's enough damage to take out the first zombie. So it's going to be 6 damage for the blast attack. We are going to use Rune Mastery for the second surge as an unspent surge to go ahead and remove up to 2 fatigue right there. And then after all of this, actually I'll get to that in just a moment. All right, so 6 damage was enough to take out this one. Now we have to roll the second zombie's defense. All right, remember 6 damage is going through. This zombie also has 5 health. Let's see what it rolls. Ends up getting no defense, so that one also gets taken out. All right, let's go ahead and remove this one from the map. And then Shalara is going to spend 2 fatigue to do quick casting right here to attack the master zombie. She needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 range. She's trying to do 1 damage. She gets 2 yellow dice and a blue die against 2 brown dice. All right, let's go ahead and exhaust quick casting at the 2 fatigue right here. Remember, she's trying to get 5 range and just do 1 damage. Let's go ahead, has to go into the castle. She does not get the range. Let's see if there's anything she can do. She could re-roll a die to try to get the range. I think she will do that. So she's going to use her fortune token right here to re-roll. It's a pretty rough one to re-roll because it's good damage right there. We're going to see this real quick. Is there enough? Oh, no, it's not. It's not good enough. All right, we're going to do this one right here. Let's go ahead and do this one. Actually, sorry for being indecisive. We're going to do the attack die. It's a little risky, but I think it's more likely we get another range with this one than the other die. All right, so we did get the range. That was really lucky. Remember, she's trying to do 1 damage, so she has 3 surges. So the first surge is 2 more damage. So that's 5 against 2. 3 damage goes through. It's enough to take out the master zombie. And with the unspent surge right here, she's going to use Iron Will to remove the 2 fatigue from the quick casting. All right, we're going to remove this master zombie right here, and that's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, they draw a card, which ends up being Tripwire. Also, at the beginning of the Overlord turn, Tyrus right here takes a damage, and then Lady Eliza has to test for vying for Dominion. She is testing her awareness right over here, which is a 5, so she's trying to get 5 or less. She succeeds. She has 4 different abilities to choose when she succeeds. She gets to choose a tile, so she's going to choose this tile with these 3 right here. She's going to make them all test for willpower. Each one who fails suffers 2 fatigue. Let's go ahead and start with Grisbin. Grisbin's willpower is 3, so he's trying to get 3 or less. He fails. He uses his lucky charm to re-roll this test. Still trying to get 3 or less. Let's go ahead and jiggle it. He fails, so he suffers 2 fatigue. All right. Tatiana rolls next. She has 2 willpower. She's trying to get 2 or less. She succeeds. Then last up on the tile is Shalara. She has 3 willpower, so she's trying to get a 3 or less. Let's go ahead and see what she gets. She fails, so she suffers 2 fatigue. First up are the zombies, or the only zombie left alive right here. It's going to actually has to move 1 right here, interrupt its movement, and it's going to attack. Let me make sure that there's, okay, no wall there. Attack Tatiana with a yellow die and a blue die against her gray die and her heavy cloak. Remember, there's the cloud of mist, so there has to be a surge spent or no damage goes through. All right, let's go ahead and put it into the castle, see what they get. Everything's dropping into the castle. All right, that's good, and there's only 1 surge, which would normally be good, but Tatiana's going to spend her heavy cloak, so there's no more surge, so then there's nothing to go through because the attack is a miss from Cloud of Mist. The zombie's then going to continue its movement and go right here and end its turn. Next up are the Shadow Dragons, but they're actually going to stay put right there, and then the Flesh Molders are just going to get closer. 1, 2, 3 right here, 1, 2, 3 right there, 1, 2, 3, actually back up just so the blast can't hit all of them. 1, 2 right over there. So that's the end of the Flesh Molders. Then we're going to have the Barghest go next. This one's going to, the master one's going to go first. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it gets to expand right here. And then it's going to, it can't do a howl. 1, 2, 3 can't reach quite yet. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. It's actually just going to go right over here, right there. This regular one's going to go. They're going to try to say spread out as much as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4 expands right over here. And then this one's going to go 1, 2, yeah, we're going to pick that up, sorry. 1, 2, 3 right over here, 3, 4. Let me make sure. That was 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, right there. Sorry, I'm going to back this one up right over here. Sorry for the indecisiveness. Just trying to stay away from good blast attacks from Shalara. This one's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go right there. And then it's probably going to scoot up just 1 more over here. Like I said, trying to stay spread out. 1, 2, 3, 3 right over here. That seems fine. I forgot to mention it earlier, but Sir Ulrich gets to heal up 1 for regeneration. So let's go ahead and swap that over from a 5 damage to a 4 right over here. and then he's going to go next. He gets to move 3 twice, so 1, 2, 3, and then he's going to go right over here, 1, 2, 3. He's going to get closer. He has a lot of health left, so he's okay with getting up close. And then Lord Merrick's going to go next. He gets to move 4. He's going to do it twice. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he's ranged, so he's going to stay up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he's going to stay over there by the flesh molders. I guess we could have had maybe the flesh molder, the master one heal. I think they were up there. Could have gone 1, 2, 3. Oh no, the range wouldn't have been enough. All right, so one more thing to do. Eliza, all the way up there, she's going to join the action. She gets 5 defense as long as Tyrus remains shackled. The heroes have to go next to him with no monsters in this room and spend an action to unshackle him. She's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She can also move through the door, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right over here. She just wants to help with some damage. That's the end of the Overlord's turn. At the end of the Overlord's turn, they're going to play Word of Despair, so all of the heroes have to test willpower. Each one who fails for the next turn after the end of each action, they suffer a fatigue, and if they're full up on stamina, they'll suffer damage instead. Let's go ahead and roll that for everyone. All right, Grisbin's willpower is 3 right there, so he's trying to get 3 or less. Let's see if he's good. He succeeds. Asherin has 3 willpower, so she's also trying to get 3 or less. Let's go ahead and see what she gets. She gets 2, so she's good. Tatiana has 2 willpower. She's trying to get a 2 or less. She fails, so we're going to place a little fatigue marker under her figure, so I remember that she has to spend fatigue next turn. Last up is Shalara. She has a willpower of 3, so she's trying to get 3 or less. She succeeds. First up for the heroes, Grisben's going to attack the Master Barghest right here with his grinding axe. He gets a blue die and 2 red dice against a brown die and a black die. He's trying to do 10 damage. All right, let's see what he gets right here. Let's go into the castle. That one has to go into the castle too. I knew it was coming. All right, there is 5 damage. Let's pull this all out in 1 surge against 3 defense. There was Bright Blaze, so I'm going to go ahead and grab Bright Blaze right over here as a reminder for Pierce 1. Forgot to mention that at first, so there is Pierce 1. So Grisben's going to use the first surge plus the Weapon Mastery surge to do 2 surges to add 5 damage. So it's going to be 10 against the 2. 8 damage goes through, and it still has 2 life left. Let's go ahead and put the 8 damage right over here, and then for his second action, he's going to attack the Barghest once again. 2 red die and a blue die against a black die and a brown die. He's trying to finish it off for 2 damage. All right, Weapon Mastery is already used, but we do have Pierce 1 from Bright Blaze. Remember, 2 damage. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Let's put this all into the castle. It's very jumpy today. All right, had to recover it. Let's go ahead and see what that rolls. We end up getting 4 damage, or 5 damage, no surges, and no defense, so the Master Barghest gets taken out. Let's go ahead and remove the Barghest from the map, and that's the end of Grisben's turn. All right, next up is Shalara, but before she goes, she's going to move Bright Blaze 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3 right over here to give Pierce 1 to them. She's then going to move 3, 1, 2, 3 right over here. She's then going to spend 1 fatigue to do a Exploding Rune Blast attack to hit these 2. She's going to do the Barghest first. She needs to get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 range. She's using Ice Storm, which is 2 yellow die and a blue die against its brown die and a black die. All right, let's go ahead and put the fatigue for the Exploding Rune right over here. Remember, she's trying to get 5 range. We're rolling the Barghest first. She's trying to do 6 damage. Well, I guess as much damage as possible for the attack. All right, so she did get the range. Let's pull this out. We have a lot to go through. We have 3 damage and Pierce 1 with the surge against 5 defense right here. But remember, she still wants to do as much damage as possible because Sir Ulrich gets hit next. So the first surge right over here is adding 2 damage. So that's going to be 5 damage. Then we are going to use the second surge right here to suffer fatigue for Runic Knowledge to add 2 more. So that's 7 damage. And then right here with the Rune Mastery, we're going to spend this to have an unspent fatigue to go ahead. We could do Immobilize, but we don't really want to. We're just going to go ahead and use Iron Will to remove 2 fatigue right here with that. So it's going to be 7 damage and Pierce 1, ends up going against 4. So 3 damage goes through to the Barghest. All right, let's put the 3 damage right there on the Barghest. We're going to roll for Sir Ulrich next. He gets a black die, a brown die, and a gray die. Remember, we have 7 damage and Pierce 1 going through. Let's go ahead and roll all of that. So let's pull that out here. So it's 4 defense, minus the 1 for Pierce, so 3 defense. So 7 minus 3, Sir Ulrich takes 4 damage. All right, let's go ahead and exchange a 1 for a 5 right here. So he has 8 damage on him so far. And then Shalara is not done yet. She's going to spend a fatigue to do, or 2 fatigue to do quick casting. She's going to attack this Barghest right here. She needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 range with her Ice Storm, a blue die and 2 yellow die against a black die and a brown die. She's trying to do 3 damage. All right, let's go ahead and exhaust quick casting and add the 2 fatigue right here. Remember, she needs 5 range first. Let's go ahead and see if she gets that, so then we can go from there. She does get the range, so let's pull it all out. She does have Pierce 1 because of Bright Blaze. It is 2 damage and 2 surges against, oops, I moved it. It was 3 defense right here. The Bright Blaze has the Pierce 1. So remember, she's just trying to do 3 damage. So far, she's doing 1. She's going to spend the 1 surge for 2 more damage. So that's going to be 4 damage minus 2. Although that's still not enough. Yeah, 4 damage minus 2 is 2 damage going through. And then for the second surge right here, she's going to do Runic Knowledge to suffer another fatigue to do 2 more damage. So to recap, we're doing 6 damage against the 3 with Pierce 1. 4 damage is enough to take out the Barghest. So go ahead and remove the Barghest right there, and that's the end of Shalara's turn. Next up is Tatiana. She is under the effects of Word of Despair. She's going to use Running Shot to attack with her Latari Longbow on this Barghest right here. So she's going to move first. 1, 2. She needs to roll a blue die and 2 yellow die against a black die and a brown die. She's trying to do 6 damage, and then she only needs 1 range. Let's go ahead and place the fatigue for Word of Despair right there, and she's just trying to do 6 damage. She has Pierce 1 with her bow. She has more than enough range. She just needed the 1. She has 3 damage going through against 4 defense, which is not good enough, but she's going to use her reroll on this one right here. She's using Accurate to do that. Try to get more damage, more surges. She got 1 more damage, so it's going to be 4 damage minus the 3 defense, so only 1 damage goes through. We're going to place the 1 damage on the Barghest right over here, and then she's going to do the same attack. She's going to use Running Shot again, 1, 2 right here. She is going to suffer fatigue for Word of Despair. It's going to be 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a black die and a brown die. She's trying to do 5 damage. All right, 1 fatigue there for the Word of Despair. Let's see if she can get the 5 damage through. She doesn't need range. She's right next to it. So she has, it looks like, let's pull it all out, 2 damage and 2 surges against 5 defense. The Pierce 1 takes care of that. She's going to use a reroll on the, she doesn't need 2, well, I guess 2 surges is okay. I guess the 1 damage is going to get a reroll. She doesn't want to get another surge, but that's okay. It will work out. There we go. 2 damage and 3 surges. The first surge is 2 more damage, so it's going to be 4 damage. I guess no damage goes through because 4 against 4 is nothing, but she's going to spend the unspent stamp, or the surge right there, to recover fatigue. Last up is Sharon. She's going to do a movement action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right over here. And then her second action is to spend her last fatigue to do Cloud of Mist. So anyone within range 3, if that space is targeted, the attack is a miss unless a surge is used. All right, let's go ahead and spend the fatigue and exhaust the Cloud of Mist. And that's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, they draw a card, which ends up being Unholy Ritual. Sir Ulrich right here gets to regenerate 1 health, and then Tyrus all the way up there takes the 1 damage, so we're just going to move that. And then Lady Eliza has to vie for Dominion. She has to test Awareness. She has Awareness 5, so she's trying to get 5 or less. She succeeds. She's going to choose this tile right here, and all of these heroes have to test Might. Each one who fails suffers 2 damage. Let's start with Shalara. Shalara has 3 Might, so she has to get a 3 or less. Let's go ahead, has to go into the castle. Let's see. All right, she fails, so she suffers 2 damage. She still has 1 life left. She does have her light armor, so she has 11 health. All right, Tatiana has 2 might. She's trying to get 2 or less. She fails, so she also takes 2 damage right there. She has 12 health, so she has 2 left. Last up is Sharon. She has 2 might. She's also trying to get 2 or less. She fails, so she takes 2 damage to go up to 6. All right, first up are the Barghest. This one right here is going to attack Tatiana with a red die and a blue die against a gray die and a heavy cloak. There is Cloud of Mist, so they need a surge or else this whole attack is going to miss. It's trying to do 2 damage. Let's go ahead into the castle. It doesn't get the surge. We're going to pull it out. 4 damage against nothing. It would have been good, but yeah, the attack's a miss. Next up, the Barghest is going to do a howl within range 3. 1, 2, 3. So everyone but Grisband, they have to test willpower. If they fail, they suffer fatigue. Let's do Shalara first. Her willpower is 3, so she's trying to get a 3 or less. She's good. Next up is Sharon. She has 3 willpower, so she also needs 3 or less. Has to go into the castle. She fails. She's full in stamina, so she takes a damage instead. Last up is Tatiana. Her willpower is 2, so she's trying to get a 2 or less. She fails, so she suffers a fatigue. Next up is this bar guest. It's going to pick itself up and use this space. 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here, and then expand. It's going to do Howl as well, so I think that hits everyone. Let's go ahead and start with Grisben. It's going to be a willpower test, or they suffer fatigue. His willpower is 3, so he's trying to get 3 or less. He's good. Sharon's willpower is 3, so she's trying to get 3 or less. She's good as well. Tatiana's willpower is 2, so she's trying to get 2 or less. She fails, so she suffers of fatigue. Shalara is last. Her willpower is 3, so she's trying to get a 3 or less. She fails, so she also suffers of fatigue. Next up is this zombie. It's going to move 1, 2, 3 right here, and then it's going to attack Shalara right here. It's a yellow die and a blue die against a gray die and a brown die. The zombie's trying to do 1 damage. There is Cloud of Mist, so it also needs a surge spent on that, or else the whole attack is a miss. Let's go ahead and pull this out, but I think there is no damage going through. It's 2 against 2, and then there's no surge, so the whole attack is a miss. All right, next up is Sir Ulrich. He's going to use his Overpower move, so he gets to move 1, 2, 3 right here, and then when he moves next to Sharon, he gets to test his might. If he succeeds, they swap places, and she suffers of fatigue. His might is 5, so he's trying to get 5 or less. He succeeds. Let's go ahead and swap their places right here, and let's go ahead and add a fatigue to Sharon. She's full on fatigue, so she takes a damage instead. For his second action, he's going to do an attack on Sharon. He gets a blue die and 2 red dice against her 2 gray die and Cloud of Mist. He's trying to do 2 damage. Let's see if he can do it. All right, right here he got the surge, so the 1 surge is going to be used for the Cloud of Mist. He also got 7 damage against 1 defense. So that means 6 damage is going to go through and Sharon gets knocked out. Let's go ahead and fill her up on health and fatigue right there. Remove her figure from the map right there and replace her with a hero token. And then the Overlord all the way up there gets another threat token and then a hero token for Sharon as a reminder that they already got one. All right, the Shadow Dragons are next. They're going to stay put right there. They're still in a good spot. Then we're going to go on to the Flesh Molders. This Master one's going to heal Merrick right here, so it gets to roll a red die. All right, let's see how much Merrick will heal right there. 2 life. Let's go ahead and heal up 2 right there. And then we are going to do the same action. It's going to be another heal on Merrick. Let's see how much it gets right here. He gets to heal up another 2. So let's go heal up the 2. He still has 5 damage on him. And that's the end of the Master Flesh Molder. These 2 are going to stay put. This one's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here. And he's going to attack Tatiana. It needs to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, range 7 because of her hero ability, a yellow die and a blue die against a gray die and a heavy cloak. Right, the first important thing is the 7 range. It's kind of a long shot right there. Did not get it, but it would have been 2 damage in the surge, so the attack is a miss. Next up is Lord Merrick. He's going to move 1, 2, 3 right over here. Let's bring over his 5 damage. He's going to attack Tatiana. He needs a range of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because of her special ability, a red, blue, and yellow die against a gray die and a heavy cloak. He's trying to do 2 damage, but the important part is to get a surge for Cloud of Mist as well as the 5 range. So let's see if that happens. We did not get the range. It was just 3, 4 right there, so the whole attack is a miss. Last up is a Lady Eliza. She gets moved 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 right over here. That's the end of the Overlord's turn. First up for the heroes, Grisban's going to move 1 right here, and then the second action is to spend 2 fatigue to do Death Rage right here on Sir Ulrich. So he gets 2 red dice and a blue die, and Death Rage adds 4 more damage because he's received 9. It's 1 more damage for every 2 he's taken, and then Sir Ulrich gets a brown die, a black die, and a gray die, and he has 10 life left. All right, the 2 fatigue right here for the Death Rage. I meant to say he has 11 life left, so let's go ahead and roll everything. It has to go into the castle, all the dice. Let's see what we get right here. That one's also popping out. All right, looks like we have a lot of damage, a lot of defense, so we have to calculate this real quick. Looks like there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage and a surge against 5 defense. So 2 damage is going through, but with the second surge, there was 2 damage plus the 4 from Death Rage. So 6 damage is going through. He still has 5 more life. But with the second surge right here, so 2 surges to finish off the 5 more damage, that would take out Sir Ulrich, but then the Overlord is going to use Armor of Darkness right here, this plot card, and spend a threat and then exhaust this to give him 2 more defense, so he has 2 life left. All right, so he takes 9 damage right over there. Grisman's going to get the Fortune token. Grisban's then going to use his heroic feat to attack Sir Ulrich right here to try to do the last 2 damage. It's the grinding axe with 2 red dice and a blue die against a black, gray, and brown die. Alright, he's just trying to do 2 damage to finish him off. Let's see what rolls right here. Alright, let's pull this all out. It looks like I think this will be enough. It's going to be 5 damage and a surge against 3 defense, so the 2 damage is going through. The Overlord can't use Armor of Darkness again because it has to unexhaust at the beginning of the Overlord's turn. So we're going to use the unspent surge right here to remove the fatigue. 2 damage goes out. Sir Ulrich gets taken out. All right, let's go ahead and remove all of this and his figure from the map. And that's the end of Grisban's turn. Go ahead and flip his card to show that he used his heroic feat. Next up is Tatiana. She's going to attack this bar guest, but she's going to use running shot and move right here beforehand. She's attacking with her Latari longbow, which is 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a black die. She's trying to do 5 damage. All right, let's see what she gets right here. She doesn't have to worry about range. So she got, it looks like 4 damage and the surge against 2 defense. The bow does have a natural pierce 1, so it's against 1 defense. So far, 3 damage is going through, and then the surge for 2 more, so 5 damage goes through and takes out the Barghest. Let's go ahead and remove the Barghest from the map right here, and then her second action is to stand up a Sharon right there, or to revive her. She gets to roll 2 red dice. Alright, let's see how much she heals. She heals up 3 health right there, so exchange the 5 for 2 and put her back on the map. We remove her hero token and place her back on the map, and that's the end of Tatiana's turn. Next up is Shalara. She's going to go 1, 2, 3 right here. She's going to, actually she'll go right there. She's going to attack the Barghest. She needs 2 range. She's using her Ice Storm. It's 2 yellow die and a blue die against a black die with Pierce 1 from Bright Blaze, trying to do 6 damage. All right, let's see if she gets the 2 range and 6 damage. She's good on range. This is a lot of damage going through. Looks like it will be good. So there's 5 damage and 2 surges. So her first surge is 2 more damage. So 7 damage is going to take out the Barghest. And the other unspent surge is to use the Iron Will to remove 2 fatigue, and then we're going to save a little bit of time. Right after this, we're going to exhaust quick casting and spend 2 fatigue to do another attack. Let's go ahead and remove the Barghest from the map, and then she's going to attack this zombie right here. 2 yellow die and a blue die against a gray die. She's trying to do 5 damage. All right, let's see what she gets right here. She needs 2 range. She's good on the range, so let's pull that all out. Looks like there's 2 damage and 2 surges. She's trying to do 5 damage. There is Pierce 1, so that takes care of that. So the first surge is for 2 more damage, so that's the 5 damage enough to take out the zombie. And the other unspent surge is to use Iron Will to remove the 2 fatigue right there. Let's go ahead and remove the zombie from the map, and that's the end of Shalara's turn. Last up for the heroes is a Sharon. She's going to spend 1 fatigue to do Cloud of Mist again, and then her second action is to rest. Right, for the Cloud of Mist to get the 1 fatigue, she has to spend her Fortune token to remove a fatigue and then exhaust the Cloud of Mist, spend the fatigue, but then at the end of the turn, she rests and gets all of that back. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, they draw a card, they get Dash. The Overlord's also going to play Word of Misery, so play this card at the start. Anytime the heroes suffer damage, they also suffer a fatigue as well. Also, Tyrus up here at the top suffers his 3rd damage. She has 10 health. And then Eliza has to test or vie for Dominion. She has to test her awareness, which is 5, so she has to get 5 or less. She succeeds. She's going to choose this tile right here, 9B. All the heroes will have to test Might. If they fail, they suffer 2 damage. Let's go ahead and start with Grisban. Alright, his Might is 5, so he's trying to get 5 or less. He's good. Asherin has 2 Might, so she's trying to get 2 or less. She fails, so she suffers 2 damage. Tatiana has 2 mites, so she has to get a 2 or less. She fails there. She's going to spend her fortune token right here to reroll this. She would get knocked out if she doesn't. Let's go ahead and give it a jiggle and see if she gets a 2 or less. She's good. And then last up is Shalara. Her might is 3. She's trying to get a 3 or less. She's good as well. First up are the Flesh Molders. This one's going to go 1 right here, and then it's going to use its heal ability on Lord Merrick. He gets to roll a red die, and that's how much he healed. All right, let's see what he gets. He ends up getting 3 health. Let's go ahead and heal the 3 right there. And then these 2 are going to stay put. This one's going to do a movement action, then an attack action. So it's going to go 1, 2, interrupt its movement. It's going to attack Shalara here. It gets 2 range, or needs to get 1, 2, 3 range. It's a yellow die and a blue die against her gray die and a brown die in Cloud of Mist. All right, remember it needs 3 range, and it also needs to surge for Cloud of Mist. We're good on the range, and then we're good on the surge as well, right here. So it looks like there is 4 defense. So yeah, the Surge does get rid of the Cloud of Mist, but there's no damage going through. It's then going to scoot back 2 more spaces, 1, 2 right there, and that's the end of the Flesh Molders. Merrick's going to go next. He's going to go 1, 2 right over here in this corner. He's going to use Ignite, so he suffers a damage right here to attack both Sharon and Grisben right there. We're going to do Grisben first. It's a red die, a blue die, and a yellow die against his 2 gray dice. All right, let's see what he gets. Got a lot of damage and a lot of surges. This is good for the Cloud of Mist. So it's going to be 7 damage and 3 surges against 3 defense. So far 4 is going through. First surge is for Cloud of Mist. The second surge is for Wither, which gives him a fatigue. And then the other surge for 1 more damage. So it's going to be 5 damage, 1 fatigue from Wither, and 1 from Word of Misery. All right, let's go ahead and place the 5 damage right there. 1 for the Wither, 1 for Word of Misery, but because he's full in stamina now, he also takes another damage. All right, Sharon's getting hit next with the Ignite attack. Remember, it's 7 damage and a Wither going through. Sorry, 8 damage and the Wither going through. She's going to spend a Fatigue and Stone Skin, so she gets another gray die. So she gets 3 dice. She's trying not to take any damage at all. So let's go ahead and roll 2 and then roll 1 more after that. All right, so she got 4 defense right here, and then we have to roll another die to see how much she gets. She's trying to block all of it. 4 plus no more. So yeah, she ends up taking, let's see, it was 8 minus 4. 4 damage goes through, and she gets knocked out. So we go ahead and fill her up on damage right here, health and stamina. And then we have to remove her figure from the map. We remove her figure from the map right there and replace her hero token right there. Overlord already got the threat counter for Sharon, so they're going to go ahead and draw a card. They get Dark Fortune. Next up is Eliza. She's going to go 1, 2 right here, interrupt her movement to then attack Grisben. She needs 1, 2, 3 range. She gets a red, blue, and yellow die against 2 gray dice. She's trying to do 2 damage or 3 damage. All right, let's see if she gets the 3 range at first. And then she also has to worry about Cloud of Mist. She did not get the range right there. Let's see if the Overlord has anything to reroll. They do have Dark Fortune. They're going to go ahead and use Dark Fortune to reroll a die. Let's go ahead and bring out the defense right here. We are going to reroll the yellow die right here. This one has range. 1, 2, 3. So it just needs to get a 1 for range. They are not good in range, so her attack misses. She moved 2 already, so she's going to go 3, 4, 5 right over there. And then the Shadow Dragons are going to go up next. This one's going to stay put. This one's going to go right over here. Use this corner spot to move 1, 2, 3. Expand right over here. It's going to attack Shalara with 2 red dice and a blue die against a gray die and a brown die. She's trying to do 1 damage. All right, there is Cloud of Mist, so it also needs to get a surge to make sure that goes through. Looks like we do have a lot going through, and we do have 2 surges right here. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6 damage and 2 surges against 1 defense, so 5 will go through. Well, actually, the first surge is to get rid of Cloud of Mist. The next surge is going to be for the Fire Breath, so it is going to be hitting 2 other people. We'll get to that in a moment. So Shalara gets knocked out first for 5 damage. Let's go ahead and fill her up her health and stamina right there, and then remove her figure from the map. All right, so we remove her right here and replace her with her hero token. The Overlord all the way up there gets the threat counter, and then the hero token for Shalara. As a reminder, you can only get it once per hero. Then the Fire Breath is a 4 space attack, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to hit both Tatiana and Grisben. So it's 6 damage going through on Tatiana's gray die. All right, let's see what she gets. She hits 1 defense, so 5 damage is still going through. So Tatiana gets knocked out. So then we go ahead and fill up her health and stamina right there. We remove her figure from the map and place her hero token right there. And way up there, the Overlord gets a threat token as well, and then the Tatiana's hero token. And last up, the 6th attack is going against Grisben. He has 3 life left, and he gets to roll 2 gray dice. All right, let's see what he gets. 6 against 5. Only 1 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 1 damage right there. I almost forgot Word of Misery, so he takes 1 more fatigue because he took a damage, but because he's full, he takes another damage, but he still has 1 life left. All right, after that, the Overlord's going to use Dash right here to have this Shadow Dragon move again. It gets to go right here. It's going to go 1, 2. It's just going to back up right up over here where it started. Then this Shadow Dragon, the regular minion one, it's going to pick it up and use the spot right here. 1, 2, 3. Expand all over here, and then attack Grisben with 1 blue die and 2 red dice against 2 gray dice. He's trying to do 1 damage. Alright, let's see if we can get the Surge for Cloud of Mist. It's just trying to do 1 damage, ends up getting a miss, and there's no way for it to reroll, so that's the end of the Shadow Dragon's turn. That is the end of the Overlord's turn. At the beginning of the hero's turn, Grisban's going to attack the minion Shadow Dragon with his Grinding Axe. He gets 2 red dice and a blue die against a black die and a gray die. He's trying to do 8 damage. Alright, let's see what he gets. Remember, he's trying to do 8 damage, has to go into the castle. We end up having 5 damage here and no surges against 3 defense. There is Bright Blaze under there, so there is Pierce 1, so that does take care of this. We are going to use the Weapon Mastery for 1 more damage with the Surge. So 6 on 2, 4 damage goes through. We're going to go ahead and put the 4 damage right there, and then for Grisben's second action, he's going to revive Asherin right there. Alright, we rolled 2 red dice. Let's see how much she heals up. She gets to heal up 4 right there. And then we get to bring her back to the map. Let's go ahead and replace her token with her figure, and that's the end of Grisben's turn. Next up is Asherin. She's going to attack the Shadow Dragon with her Steel Greatsword. She gets 1 of each color die against a black die and a gray die. She has Bright Blaze for Pierce 1. She's trying to do 4 damage. Alright, let's see what she gets. Looks like it's going to be a good amount of damage and surges. So let's pull this all out. 4 damage. Oops, I moved it. It was a damage and a surge. Alright, 4 damage and 2 surges against 4 defense right here. We could re-roll either of these dice. We're going to go ahead. I don't know if it's worth re-rolling this one. Yeah, it's probably worth re-rolling the red one. Maybe get 3 damage, maybe to get a surge or something. That stinks. We got 1 less, but it was more likely that we got something equal or better. Alright, so that's going to be 3 damage against Pierce 1, so 3 defense. So nothing's going to go through, but the first surge is 1 more damage right there, and the other surge is for Pierce 2. So to recap, 4 damage, Pierce 3. So 4 against 1, 3 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 3 damage right there. And then next up, Asherin's going to revive Tatiana with 2 red dice. Alright, let's see how much she heals up. She gets to heal up 2 right there, and then we bring her back to the map. We bring her back to the map right here, and that's the end of Asherin's turn. Alright, first up, Tatiana is going to attack the Shadow Dragon with her Lotari Longbow with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a black die and a gray die and Pierce 1 from Bright Blaze. She's going to use Running Shot to go right here. She's trying to get 1 range with her special ability and trying to do 1 damage. Alright, let's see what she gets right here. Let's pull it all out. Looks like there's 3 damage and Pierce 2, 1 for Bright Blaze, 1 for the bow, so no defense is going through. She's just trying to do 1 damage. She could re-roll, but she doesn't need to, so she takes out the Shadow Dragon. Actually, she's going to re-roll this in hopes of getting a surge, or like a damage and a surge. Alright, so she got 2 more damage right there. The unspent surge would have allowed her to recover fatigue. Alright, let's take out the Shadow Dragon. Alright, we remove the Shadow Dragon from the map, but then the Overlord's going to play a card. They're going to play this, Rise Again. So we're going to place a fatigue token right over here to represent the dragon. It's going to come back for 1 more round during the Overlord's turn. Alright, let's see how much she heals up. Has to go into the castle. She's going to heal up 4 health right there, and then we bring her back to the map. We replace her hero token right here with her figure, and that's the end of Tatiana's turn. Next up is Shalara. Her first action is to do a search action right here. Let's see what she gets. She ends up getting Health Potion. Her second action is to use the Health Potion right here on Tatiana to heal up all her health. Let's go ahead and flip this over and then heal her all the way up. Like that. And that's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, they draw a card. Ends up being Frenzy. The Rise Again Shadow Dragon's going to choose to go right there. Tyrus all the way up here takes his 4th damage out of 10, and then Eliza has to vie for Dominion. Her awareness is 5, so she's trying to get 5 or less. She succeeds. She's going to choose this tile right here with Grisband, Asherin, and Shalara. They have to test willpower. If they fail, they suffer 2 fatigue. Shalara's willpower is 3, so she's trying to get 3 or less. She fails, so she suffers 2 fatigue. She's full in stamina, so she takes 2 damage instead. Sharon's willpower is 3, so she has to get 3 or less. She succeeds. Grisben's willpower is 3, so he has to get 3 or less. He's good as well. Lord Merrick's going to go first. He's going to take a damage to do an Ignite attack, so it's going to attack both Grisband and Asherin right here. He gets 1 of each color die against 2 gray dice, because we're going to roll for Grisband first. He's trying to do 1 damage. Alright, let's see what he gets for the whole attack. He's trying to do as much damage as possible, but only 1 on Grisban. So it looks like he got 4 damage and 2 surges against 3 defense. So that is enough to take out Grisban, but we're also going to do Wither, which adds a fatigue and another surge for 1 more damage. So it's going to be 5 damage against 3, 2 damage, and a fatigue goes through. Grisban gets knocked out when we fill his health and stamina up. We replace his figure on the map with this hero token right there. And all the way up there, the Overlord gets a threat counter, and we're going to use this hero token to show that they can't get another one from that hero. And then now we have to roll for Sharon, 2 gray dice. Remember, 5 damage and a fatigue is still going through. Let's see what she gets. She gets 3 defense, so 2 damage and a fatigue go through. She's full on stamina, so the 1 more fatigue is going to be another damage, so she takes 3 damage and has 1 life. Merrick's then going to use his second action to move 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here. And that's the end of Merrick's activation. Alright, next up is the Rise Again Shadow Dragon. It's going to attack a Sharon with its melee attack. It gets 2 red dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice. It's just trying to do 1 damage. Alright, let's see what it gets. Remember, just 1 damage. It looks like this will be good. Let's pull it all out. So there's 6 damage against the 3 defense right here. So 3 damage goes through. We fill up a Sharon's health and stamina right here and then remove her. Let's go ahead and remove her figure from the map and place her hero token right there. The Overlord gets to draw a card. They end up getting Diabolic Power. Its second action is just to move and get out of the way, so we're just going to go right over there. And that's the end of that Shadow Dragon. This one's going to go ahead and pick itself up and move 1, 2, 3, and expand right here. And its second action is to attack Shalara. It gets 2 red dice and a blue die against her gray die and brown die. It's trying to do 2 damage. Alright, let's see what it gets right here. We're trying to do 2 damage. Looks like we got no surges, so we have 6 damage right here against 1 defense. So 5 damage goes through, and Shalara gets knocked out. Let's go ahead and fill her up on health and stamina. Let's remove her figure from the map and replace her with her hero token. And the Overlord gets to draw a card, which ends up being Frenzy. The Overlord's then going to use Diabolic Power to go ahead and grab a dash from the discard pile, and then Tatiana is going to have to test Willpower. If she fails, she takes 2 damage. She has to get a 2 or less right here. Let's see what she gets. Has to go into the castle. Alright, she fails, so she takes 2 damage right here. Next up is Lady Eliza. She's going to move 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. And then she's going to attack Tatiana. She gets to roll 1 of each colored die against a gray die and a heavy cloak. She's trying to do 10 damage. Alright, let's see what she gets right here. She gets 4 damage and 2 surges. Tatiana doesn't want to use the heavy cloak because, well, she got 1 defense. But the only surge is her healing up and she's full in health already. So it's 4 damage minus 1 defense. 3 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 3 damage right there. The Overlord's then going to use Frenzy with Lady Eliza, so she's going to do the same attack, 1 of each color against 1 gray and the heavy cloak. She's trying to do as much damage as possible, 7 this time. Let's see what she got, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage against 1 defense. So 5's going through, the surge does nothing, and so does the heavy cloak, so she takes 5 damage. Alright, let's go ahead and place the 5 damage right here. And then Lady Eliza is going to use Dash on herself to get another action. She's going to move away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right over here. And then next up are the Flesh Molders. This one's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here. And it's going to attack Tatiana. Needs 1, 2, 3 range because of her hero ability. It's a yellow die and a blue die against a gray die and a heavy cloak. Alright, let's see if we get the 3 range. It's trying to do 2 damage to her. Got the range. It's 2 damage against 2 defense, so nothing goes through. The Overlord's going to use Frenzy right here in the Flesh Molder to get another attack. So we're going to stay right here and go ahead and do the same dice. Yellow and blue against a gray, looking for 3 range. Oops, they fell down. They have to go into the castle. 3 range. Let's see, we got the range. We have 2 damage and a surge against 2 defense, and Tatiana has her cloak. So there's no surge, so no damage goes through. Alright, the Master Flesh Molder is going to heal Lord Merrick right here with 1 red die. He ends up healing 2 health. Let's go ahead and remove the 2 health right here, and then the Master Flesh Molder is going to do the same heal action on Lord Merrick. Alright, let's see what we get right here. They get to heal up 3. Lord Merrick is now full right here, and then we are going to go to this Flesh Molder. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it has another action, 1, 2. It's going to get up close, Actually, yeah, that's fine. And then this one's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here. That's the end of the Overlord's turn. At the end of the Overlord's turn, the Rise Again Shadow Dragon goes away. First up for the heroes is Tatiana. She's going to attack the Master Shadow Dragon with her Latari Longbow. She gets 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a black, brown, and gray die. She also has Bright Blaze for Pierce 1. She's trying to do 12 damage. Alright, let's see what she gets. Her bow also has Pierce 1. So we're going to go ahead and bring all of this out. We have 1 damage and 2 surges against 5 defense. We're going to use Accurate to reroll this surge to try to get something better. She already has the extra damage she needs. It has to go into the castle, unfortunately. Alright, so that's the same thing. The 1 surge will be 2 more damage, so that's 3 damage and 2 pierce against 3. She could use her heroic feat to still do the 3 damage, but she doesn't want to waste it. Actually, the heroes are super behind, so she's going to go ahead and flip her card ability and use her heroic feat, so we get to ignore this die, so 3 damage goes through. We're going to go ahead and place the 3 damage right over here on the dragon. And then her second action is to revive Shalaru with 2 red dice. All right, let's see what we get right here. We get to heal up 5 health and bring her back to the map. All right, we replace her right here. And that's the end of Tatiana's turn. Next up is Shalaru. She's going to move 1, 2 right over here. And then her second action is to revive Grisbin behind the dragon right there with 2 red dice. All right, Grisbin also has Brute, so he gets to heal 2 more. So we get to heal up 6 right here. So 5, 6, and then bring them back to the map. We replace Grisbin's hero token with Grisbin right here, and that's the end of Shalaru's turn. Alright, next up is Grisbin behind the Shadow Dragon. It's going to attack the Master Shadow Dragon with its Grinding Axe. It gets 2 red dice and a blue die against a black, brown, and gray die. He also gets Pierce 1 from Bright Blaze, trying to do 10 damage. He also has to roll a Surge because he's doing a melee attack with the Shadow ability. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Looks like we did not get the Surge, but we can use Weapon Mastery in a moment. So it looks like we have 6 damage against 3 defense. There is a natural Pierce 1 because of Bright Blaze. Weapon Mastery for the Shadow ability. So 6 damage minus 2, 4 damage goes through. Go ahead and place the 4 damage right here. And then for Grisbin's second action, underneath the Shadow Dragon, he's going to revive a Sharon with 2 red dice. All right, let's see how much she heals up right here. She gets to heal up 5 health and 1 fatigue right here, and she goes back to the map. All right, we're going to bring her back to the map. We're going to go ahead and move this. Since her spot's occupied, she gets to choose an adjacent one. She's going to choose right here, and that's the end of Grisbin's turn. Next up is the Sharon. She's going to attack the Master Shadow Dragon with her Steel Greatsword. She gets 1 of each color die against a gray die, brown die, and black die. She gets a Pierce 1 from Bright Blaze, and she's trying to do 5 damage. All right, let's see what she gets right here. It has to go into the castle. Let's pull this all out. Looks like there's going to be 4 damage against 3 defense, but she does have a reroll. She does have Pierce 1, so that kind of takes care of that, so we'll move that up there. She's going to use the reroll right over here on the yellow die, trying to get like some kind of surges. Let's see. We did get 2 damage in the surge, which I think is the best thing. So we're going to go ahead and use this surge for Pierce 2, so there's no defense now. So the 5 damage goes through. It would take out the Master Shadow Dragon, but the Overlord's going to spend a threat token and Armor of Darkness to exhaust this to give it 2 more health, so it has 2 health left. Right, so the Master Shadow Dragon takes 3 damage. Let's go ahead and exchange the 2 for 5 right there. We are then going to give the Fortune token to a Sharon. She's going to spend that to remove a fatigue. She's then going to spend her second action for Healing Rain. She doesn't have to exhaust this, but she does have to spend 2 fatigue. Everyone within range 3 of her gets to heal up whatever she rolls. Let's see, let's do her first. She gets to heal up 2 right here. Shalaru gets to heal up 2 as well. Tatiana gets to heal up 2. And Grisbin gets to heal 2. That's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, they draw a card. They end up getting Dark Fortune. All the way up top in the throne room over here, Tyrus takes his 5th damage, and then Eliza has to vie for Dominion. Her awareness is 5. She has to get a 5 or less. She succeeds. She's going to choose 9B tile right over here. All the heroes, except for Tatiana, have to roll Might. If they fail, they suffer 2 damage. Let's go ahead and start with Grisbin. His Might is 5, so he has to get 5 or less. He succeeds. Sharon's Might is 2. She has to get 2 or less. She fails, so she takes 2 damage right here. Shalaru's Might is 3, so she has to get 3 or less. She's good. First up is the Master Shadow Dragon. It's going to attack a Sharon. It gets 2 red dice and a blue die against 2 gray dice. It's trying to do 5 damage. Okay, let's see what we get right here. We have a lot of damage going through, but no surges. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 against 4 defense. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 against 4 defense. 3 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 3 damage right there. The dragon then is going to pick itself up for its second action and move. Use this spot. 1, 2, just go right up over here. 3. Yeah, let's see, it can go 1, 2, 3. Yeah, right over here. Let's go ahead and bring its damage up over there. And then next up are the flesh molders. This flesh molder is going to use its heal ability twice on this master dragon. So we're just going to roll 2 red dice during one time, but it's 2 actions. All right, let's see how much it heals. Gets to heal up 5 health. We get to heal the 5 health right here. And then the next flesh molder is going to attack a Sheeran first. It needs 1, 2 range, a blue die, and a yellow die against 2 gray die. Is trying to do 3 damage, or 2 damage. All right, let's see how much damage, or if we get the 2 range. We got the range, so it looks like we got 2 damage and a surge. I don't know if this is going to be enough against 4 defense. So the 1 surge for 2 more damage, 4 against 4, nothing goes through. The flesh molder then is going to, I guess, stay put right here. This one's going to go next. It's going to attack a Sheeran. It needs 1, 2, 3, 4 range, a blue die, and a yellow die against 2 gray die, trying to do 2 damage. All right, let's see if we get the 4 range first. Go ahead and roll all of that. We did get the range, so it looks like we have 3 damage and a surge going through against 2 defense. We're going to surge for 2 more damage. So 5 against 2, 3 goes through, and a Sheeran gets knocked out. We fill up her health and stamina right over here. Remove her figure from the map and place her hero token right there. The Overlord gets to draw a card. They end up getting Dark Resilience. Alright, this flesh molder is going to stay put. This one's going to go next and attack Shalara. It needs 1, 2, 3, 4 range, a blue die, and a yellow die against a brown die, and a gray die, trying to do 7 damage. Alright, let's see what it rolls. We got the range, the 6 range right there. We have 2 damage and 2 surges against 1 defense right here. So the only surge that matters is 2 more damage. So 4 against 1, 3 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place 3 damage in Shalara right there. All right, next up is Lady Eliza. She is kind of exposing herself, but it's okay. She's going to move 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's okay because she gets a natural 5 defense in addition to her dice until Tyrus up there gets unspellbound. She's going to attack Tatiana. She gets 1 of each color die against a gray die and a heavy cloak. She's trying to do 4 damage. Let's see if she gets there. She got it. So let's go ahead. Not 4 damage. Sorry, she didn't get that. I was thinking of range real quick. She's good on range. She's next to Tatiana. So 5 damage minus 2. 3 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 3 damage right there. Lord Merrick's going to go last. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here. He's going to attack Grisbin. He gets 1 color of each die against 2 gray dice. He's trying to do 8 damage. All right, let's see what he gets. Has to go all into the castle. All right, he has to use the ability over here, Dark Fortune, to re-roll the blue attack die because it was a miss. Let's go ahead and see if we jiggle it and get it not a miss. All right, we're good. So we're going to pull all of this out. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then there's 1 defense right here. So 6 is going to go through. We're going to use the other, or the only surge to add 1 more damage. So 7 damage goes through and Grisbin has 1 life. All right, let's go ahead and place the 7 damage here, and that's the end of the Overlord's turn. First up for the heroes, Tatiana is going to attack Lord Merrick. She needs 1, 2, 3 range, 2 because of her hero ability. It's 2 yellow die and a blue die against a black die and a gray die. She also gets Pierce 1 from Bright Blaze. Trying to do 15 damage, or in this case, as much as she can. She got the range, so let's go ahead and pull all of this out. She has 5 damage and a surge against 5 defense. There is 2 pierce, 1 for Bright Blaze, 1 for the bow, so we'll move that aside. And then the other surge is going to add 2 more damage, so it's going to be 7 damage minus 3, 4 damage goes through. All right, let's go ahead and place the 4 damage right here, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same attack, 2 yellow die and a blue die against a gray die and a black die, trying to do 11 damage. Remember, we need 2 range, which should be easy enough to get. It has to go into the castle. Hold on. All right. We got a miss, and there's nothing that we can do about it. All right, afterwards, she's going to use Running Shot to move 2 right over here. All right, next up is Shalara. She's going to attack Lord Merrick right there with her Ice Storm. She gets 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a gray die and a black die, trying to do 11 damage. All right, let's see what we get right here. We just need 2 range. Should be fine. We get a miss. Let's see if there's anything we can do. Nope. There's no way we can do anything about that, so we're just going to go ahead and use her second action to do the same thing again. Same dice. Trying to get 2 range. All right, we got the range, so we're good there. So let's pull this all out. So it's going to be 3, 4, 5 damage and a surge. There is Pierce 1, so we'll set aside that defense. So we are going to use the first surge for 2 more damage. So that's going to be 6 damage against 3. So 3 damage will go through, but we're going to use Mana Weave to get one more unspent surge to remove 2 fatigue. Let's go ahead and add the 3 damage right here. We get to remove 2 fatigue, but then we are going to exhaust quick casting right here, and it costs 2 fatigue as well to do one more attack. Same attack on Lord Merrick, 2 yellow and a blue against a black and a gray. Let's go ahead and roll that right here, trying to do as much damage as possible. Let's pull this all out. We have, it looks like 5 damage and no surges against 3 defense. There is a Pierce 1, so I'll go ahead and set that aside. We are going to use Rune Mastery right here to get a surge to add 2 more damage. So it's 2, 4, 6, 7 against 2. 5 damage goes through. All right, we're going to add the 5 damage right here, and Merrick has taken 12 damage out of 15 life, and that's the end of Shalara's turn. Next up is Grisban. He's going to attack Lord Merrick with this Grinding Axe. He has 2 red dice and a blue die against a black die and a gray die. He's trying to do 3 damage. All right, let's see if he can do the 3 damage. Looks like there's a lot of damage going through, so there's 4 defense and then 6 damage and a surge. We do have Pierce 1. Remember, we are trying to do 3 damage right here, so that is going to be 3 damage, but the Overlord can spend the Armor of Darkness once again, exhaust this, spend a threat token to get 2 more defense, then Grisban's going to spend Weapon Mastery and then this surge to add 5 more damage. So now we have 11 damage against 5 defense, 6 goes through, Lord Merrick gets taken out. Remove Lord Merrick from the map right here. We give Asherin the Fortune token. Grisban's then going to spend 1 fatigue to move over here, and his second action is to revive Asherin with 2 red dice. To get the fatigue, Grisban's going to have to use his Fortune token to remove the fatigue to get it to do the 1 move. Let's see how much Asherin gets revived for. Has to go into the castle. All right, let's see. Ends up being 5 health and 1 fatigue right here, and then she goes back to the map. We replace her hero token with her figure, and then Grisban's turn is done. Asherin's first action is to use Healing Rain, so all 3 of them are going to heal up based on a red die roll. She's going to spend her Fortune token right here to remove a fatigue, and then she's going to spend the 2 fatigue right here on Healing Rain. She's going to heal up herself first. All right, she gets to heal up 3 right there, so let's go ahead and exchange the 5 for a 2. Grisban gets to heal up 3 as well. Shalara gets to heal up 3. Tatiana gets to heal up 3. Her second action is to move right over here. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord's turn, they draw a card, which is Dark Charm. Tyrus, all the way up top over here, takes his 6 damage out of 10 health. The Overlords can use Dark Charm on Tatiana, so she has to do a willpower test. She has to get 2 or less. She fails, so the Overlord gets to do 1 move or attack action. Then also, before I forget, Lady Eliza vies for Dominion. She has to roll awareness test, so 5 or less. Let's see what she gets. She's good. She's going to choose this tile right here, so everyone but Asherin has to do a might test. Each hero who fails suffers 2 damage. We're going to start with Shalara. She has a might of 3, so she has to get 3 or less. Has to go into the castle. She's good. Grisban has 5 might, so he has to get 5 or less. He's good as well. And Tatiana has to get 2 or less. She fails, so she takes 2 damage. Let's go ahead and exchange the 3 for a 5. The Overlord's then going to have Tatiana attack herself and use the running shot to move backwards. 1, 2 right over here. It's 2 yellow die and a blue die against a gray die and a heavy cloak. Overlord's trying to make herself hit herself for 2 damage. Let's go ahead and see what we get. I think this will do it. So it's going to be 5 damage right here. The bow does have Pierce 1. I forgot to bring it out. So 5 damage minus the 1. So 4 damage goes through. Tatiana gets knocked out. We fill her health up and her stamina as well. We replace her figure on the map with a hero token. The Overlord gets to draw a card, which ends up being Dark Might. First up are the Flesh Molders. The Master one's going to heal the Master Shadow Dragon twice with its 2 actions. So we're just going to go ahead and roll 2 red dice at once. Let's see what we get right here. We get to heal up 6 health. Let's go ahead and heal that up fully right there. And then this regular Flesh Molder is going to attack Asherin with a yellow die and a blue die against a gray die. It's trying 2 gray dice. It's trying to do 8 damage. I almost forgot to mention it, but Asherin's next to all the regular minions. So when they activate, they all start with the stun. So the first action is to remove the stun and then do the attack. All right, let's see what we get right here. We end up getting a miss, and there's no way to re-roll that. All right, this Flesh Molder is next. It's going to remove the stun for its first action, and then it's going to attack Asherin, a yellow die and a blue die against 2 gray die, trying to do 8 damage. All right, let's see what we get right here. Looks like another miss. Last up is this Flesh Molder. It's going to go ahead and use its first action to get rid of the stun, and then second action is to attack Sharon as well, yellow and blue against 2 gray. All right, let's see what they get right here. Let's go into the castle. Looks like we have 3 damage and a surge against 1 defense. We're going to use the first surge for 2 more damage, so 5 against 1. 4 damage goes through to Sharon. Let's go ahead and place the 4 damage right here. Last up is the Shadow Dragon. It's just going to move right over here to kind of block this pathway around, so the heroes have to go up over here. They're still trying to make it to Tyrus. All right, that's the end of... Actually, no, it's not the end of the Overlord's turn. Lady Eliza is going to go last. She's going to attack a Sharon here. She gets 1 color of each die against 2 gray dice. She's trying to get 1, 2, 3 range and trying to do 4. All right, let's see what she gets. Remember, she's trying to get 3 range. She got the range. She's trying to do 4 damage. So it looks like there's 6 damage and a surge, and then there's 3 defense here. So that is 3 damage going through, which is not quite enough. And then the surge does nothing because it would heal her. So let's go ahead and place 3 damage on a Sharon. All right, a Sharon takes 3 damage right there. Lady Eliza is then going to use her Whale ability. So all the heroes within range 3, which is everyone, has to test willpower. Each one who fails suffers 2 fatigue. Let's go ahead and start with Shalara. All right, Shalara's willpower is 3. She has to get a 3 or less. She fails. She's full on stamina. She takes 2 damage instead. So let's go ahead and exchange the 3 for a 5. Grisbin's willpower is 3, so he has to get a 3 or less. He's good. All right, as Sharon's last, her willpower is 3. She has to get a 3 or less. She fails. She's full on fatigue, so she actually takes 2 damage and gets knocked out. So we fill up her health and stamina right there. We remove her figure from the map and place her hero token right there. The Overlord gets to draw a card, ends up being Dark Fortune. That is the end of the Overlord's turn. First up for the hero, Shalara is going to attack this Flesh Molder, and it needs 2 range. She has Ice Storm with 2 yellow die and a blue die against a gray die and a brown die. She's trying to do 5 damage. Okay, let's see if she gets the 2 range. Has to go all into the castle. She got the range. Let's pull this all out. It looks like there's 3 damage and 2 surges, which is going to be good, against 1 defense right here. There is no Bright Blaze nearby this, so she's going to have to use the Surge for 2 more damage. So 5 against 1 is 4 damage going through, unfortunately. And then the other unspent Surge is to remove... She's actually... Yeah. The other unspent Surge is to do Iron Will to get 2 fatigue. And then right after this, we are going to spend 2 more fatigue on quick casting to do another attack. So to recap real quick, 4 damage is going through and another attack is going to happen. All right, let's go ahead and put 4 damage right there. And then her second attack is going to be the same thing on this Flesh Molder. She's just trying to do 1 damage and 2 range. It's 2 yellow and a blue against a brown and a gray. See if she can get the damage. She ends up getting a miss and she can do nothing about it. Her second action is to revive Tatiana right here with 2 red dice. All right, let's see what we get right here. We end up healing up 3, so the 5 goes down to a 2, and then we bring her back to the map. We remove her hero token and put her right here, and that's the end of Shalara's turn. Next up is Tatiana. She's going to attack the Flesh Molder with 1 health. She's attacking with her Latari longbow. It's 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a gray die and a brown die. She only needs 1 range. All right, let's see what she gets right here. Remember, she's just trying to do 1 damage. It looks like she's going to get there, so it's going to be 5 damage and a surge with a Pierce 1, so we'll put that up here, against 1 defense. So 4 damage is going through, and the unspent surge is going to be to remove a fatigue. So the Flesh Molder gets knocked out. We remove the Flesh Molder from the map right there, and then she's going to use her running shot to move 2 spaces closer right over there. And we remove her fatigue for the unspent surge. Her second action is to attack this Flesh Molder right here. 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a gray die and a brown die. She does get Pierce 1 from Bright Blaze this time. She's trying to do 5 damage. She's good on range. She just needs 1 range. She's good on the range right there. Let's go ahead and bring this all out. It looks like there is going to be 5 damage and 2 surges. We do have a total of Pierce 2, so we're going to set this aside for the Pierce 1 from there and there. And then the 1 surge is going to add 2 more damage, so then we have 7 against 3. Only 4 damage goes through, and the other unspent surge is going to remove a fatigue. Let's go ahead and place the 4 damage right there, and that's the end of Tatiana's turn. But she also gets to remove the 1 fatigue for the unspent. Next up is Grisbane. He's going to move 1, 2 right here, and then his second action is to revive his Sharon right here with 2 red dice. All right, let's see how much she heals up. She heals up 3 right there, and then we bring her back to the map. We remove her hero token and bring her figure back, and that's the end of Grisbane's turn. All right, first up, Sharon's going to attack the Flesh Molder with 1 health with her Steel Greatsword. It is going to be 1 of each color die against a gray die and a brown die, and she has Bright Blaze for a Pierce 1. All right, let's see what she ends up getting. Remember, she's just trying to do 1 damage right here. So she got 3 damage against 1. Well, I guess there's Pierce 1, so 3 damage against nothing. So the damage will go through. She's going to re-roll this die with her Steel Greatsword. She's trying to get a Surge. All right, let's see if she gets the Surge. She does, so she gets to also remove 1 unspent Surge, or Stamina. So let's go ahead and remove that right there. And the Flesh Molder gets removed from the map. And then for her second action, she's going to spend 1 fatigue right here to do Cloud of Mist. So all the heroes within range 3, if they're attacked, the Overlord has to spend a surge or the whole attack will be a miss. All right, let's exhaust this and add the 1 fatigue right here. That's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, they draw a card, which ends up being Word of Misery. The Overlord's going to play the Word of Misery so that each time the heroes suffer damage, they also suffer fatigue as well. The Overlord gets to spawn 1 Flesh Molder right over here on the stairway. Tyrus all the way up top takes his 7th damage right there. Her awareness is 5, so she has to get 5 or less. Let's see if she gets it. She succeeds. She's going to choose this tile with Shalara and Tatiana. They have to do a might test. If they fail, they suffer 2 damage. Let's start with Shalara. She has a might of 3, so she's trying to get 3 or less. She fails, so she takes 2 damage. And Tatiana's might is 2. She has to get a 2 or less. She fails as well, so she also takes 2 damage. She has 1 life left. Lady Eliza's first action is to do a wail, so all of the heroes are within range 3, so they have to test willpower. If they fail, they suffer 2 fatigue. I almost forgot to do the Word of Misery. When Tatiana took the 2 damage, she suffers a fatigue. And then Shalara also is going to suffer fatigue, but she takes the damage because she's full in stamina. So back to the wail. Alright, for the wail, it's a willpower check of 3. She has to get 3 or less, or she takes 2 damage. She succeeds. Tatiana's willpower is 2. She has to get a 2 or less. She fails, so she takes 2 fatigue. So the first fatigue goes right here, and then the second one she's full, so she takes a damage, and that knocks her out. So we fill her up on health and stamina right there. We remove her figure from the map and place her hero token right there. The Overlord gets to draw a card, which ends up being Word of Despair. Back onto Lady Eliza's Wail ability. Sharon right here has 3 willpower. She has to get a 3 or less. Let's see if she succeeds. Brisbane's willpower is 3, so he needs 3 or less. He fails. He's going to use his Lucky Charm to roll this test again. Let's give it a jiggle. Let's see. He's good. Next up, Lazy Eliza is going to attack Shalara right here. She needs 1, 2, 3 range. She gets 1 of each color die against a gray die and a brown die. She's trying to do 2 damage. There is Cloud of Mist, so she has to spend a surge or the whole attack is a miss. Remember, she also needs 3 range. She ends up missing. She does have Dark Fortune right here, so she's going to use that to re-roll. Let's go ahead and re-roll this die right here. Let's give it a jiggle. She still needs the 3 range. All right, she's good in range and on surges. Let's go ahead and bring all of this out. So it's going to be 3 damage and 2 surges against 2 defense. So 2 damage is enough to take her out. And then, yeah, so the first surge is to get rid of Cloud of Mist. And then the other surge, she doesn't even need to use Blood Call because she hasn't taken any damage. All right. I did the recap wrong real quick. It's 3 damage against 2, so 1 damage and 1 fatigue goes through, but I think the fatigue is going to spill into another damage and knock her out like that way. All right, I was correct. So she's going to take 1 damage, which brings her up to 10, and then she does have leather armor, so she has 11 health, and then the fatigue from the Word of Misery then spills over into damage. So we fill her up on on health and stamina right there. We remove her figure from the map and replace her hero token right there. The Overlord gets to draw a card, which ends up being Dash. Next up are the Flesh Molders. This Master One behind the dragon is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here. It's going to attack a Sharon and needs range of 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 2 yellow die and a blue die against 2 gray die and Cloud of Mist. It's trying to get 4 range and it wants to do 3 damage. Let's go ahead and see if it gets the range. It's good on the range. Let's see if it got the damage. We got 3 damage and 2 surges against 5 defense. 1 surge for Cloud of Mist. The other surge for plus 3 damage. So 6 damage against 5. 1 damage goes through and 1 fatigue for Word of Misery. We're going to place the 1 damage and then the 1 fatigue. She's full in stamina, so she receives another damage. All right, next up is this regular Flesh Molder. It's going to attack a Sharon with a yellow die and a blue die against 2 gray dice and Cloud of Mist. All right, let's see how much damage it does. It doesn't need to worry about range because it's right next to her. All right, so it's going to be 2 damage and 2 surges against 3 defense. So yeah, 1 surge for Cloud of Mist, 1 surge for 2 more damage. So 4 damage minus 3, 1 damage goes through and knocks out a Sharon. We fill her up on health and stamina right here, and then also the Cloud of Mist now goes away. We remove her figure from the map and then replace her hero token right there. The Overlord draws a card, which ends up being Dark Fortune. Right afterwards, this Flesh Molder is going to move 4, one. Actually, it started next to a Sharon, so it was stunned, so it had to use its first action to actually unstun itself. All right, this one up here is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right here. That's the end of the flesh molders. Last up is the Shadow Dragon. It's going to go ahead and shrink right here. Use this spot, 1, 2, 3. It's going to go right over here, and then it's going to attack Grisband. It's trying to do 4 damage. It gets 2 red dice and a blue die against his 2 gray dice. All right, let's see what he gets right here. Oh, there's an earthquake on the ground. All right, hold on. Let's go into the castle. Trying to do 4 damage. I think this might be enough. Let's add it all up, though. We have 5, 6, 7, and 2 surges. Cloud of Mist is gone. So yeah, we're trying to do 4 damage. So the first surge is 3 more damage. The other surge would be good for Fire Breath, but none of the other heroes are standing. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, minus 5. 5 damage goes through and Grisband gets knocked out. Let's fill him up on health and stamina right there. Remove his figure from the map and replace him with this hero token right there. The Overlord gets to draw a card, which ends up being Frenzy. That's the end of the Overlord's turn. At the beginning of the hero's turn, Shalara is going to do a stand-up action. Let's see how much she heals up. She gets the heal up 5 right here, and let's bring her back to the map. She goes right over here where her hero token was, and unfortunately that takes up your whole turn, and Tatiana is then going to do a stand-up action. Let's see how much she heals up. She gets to heal up 4 right here, so the 5 for a 1, and then we bring her back to the map. We remove her hero token right here, and then go ahead and place her figure right there. That's the end of her turn. Sharon's going to do a stand-up action. All right, let's see how much she heals up. She gets to heal up 3, so the 5 for a 2, and then she goes back to the map. Let's remove that and place her right here. All right, and then last up is going to be Grisband. He's also going to do a stand-up action. He gets to heal additional 2 because of Brute, so let's go ahead and see what we roll. So we get 5 health plus 2, so 7. All right, then he gets to go back to the map. All right, we get to place his figure right here, and then that is the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, they get to draw a card, which is Dark Fortune. Tyrus, all the way up top, takes his 8th damage right there, and a flesh molder spawns on the stairway. Lady Eliza is going to go first. She's going to use her will ability, which affects all of them. They have to test willpower. If they fail, they suffer 2 fatigue. We're going to start with Shalara. She has to get a 3 or less. Let's go ahead and roll that. She fails. She suffers 2 fatigue. She's full in stamina, so she takes 2 damage. And Tatiana is next. Her willpower is 2. She's trying to get 2 or less. She fails. She takes 2 damage. Same deal. She's full in stamina, so she takes the 2 damage instead of the fatigue. Sharon's next. She has 3 willpower. She has to get 3 or less. She succeeds. And then Grisband has to get 3 or less. He succeeds as well. Eliza's second action to attack Shalara right here, and she needs 1, 2, 3 range. It is 1 of each color die against a gray die and a brown die. She's trying to do 3 damage. All right, let's see if she gets the 3 range. Let's go ahead and roll that. She got the range. Let's see if she can get the 3 damage. Doesn't look like there's enough damage right here. There's 2 damage going through and then 2 defense, so the attack ends up not doing anything. The Overlord's going to use Frenzy right here to go ahead and do the same attack, 1 of each color on a brown and a gray, trying to get 3 range and 3 damage. Let's go ahead and see that right there. Ends up being a miss right here. We're going to use the Dark Fortune to get a reroll on that attack die. So let's go ahead and jiggle it and roll it down. Let's see if we get the range. So we're good in the range. Let's see how much damage we do. Looks like there's 4 damage. Minus 2 defense, so 2 damage goes through, which is not enough to take her out. Let's go ahead and place the 2 damage right here. Next up is the Master Shadow Dragon. It's going to attack Grisband right here with 2 red dice and a blue die against 2 gray die, trying to do 7 damage. All right, let's see what we roll right here. Got a lot of damage and 1 surge. Let's go ahead and do that. So 6, 7 damage against 2 defense, so it's not enough. We are going to use Dark Might to get another surge. So the first surge is for 3 more damage, and the second surge is to do a Fire Breath. So a couple other heroes are going to be hit. So that's 10 damage, minus 2, 8 damage goes through. Grisband gets knocked out. We fill him up on health and stamina right here. We remove his figure from the map and then place his little token right here. Shadow Breath gets 4 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, the Fire Breath. So the next person is going to be a Sharon. Remember, 10 damage is going through. She gets 2 gray dice. All right, let's see what defense she gets. She got 4, so 10 minus 4, she takes 6, but she has 3 life left, so she also gets knocked out. We fill her up on health and stamina right here. We remove her figure from the map right there. Overlord gets to draw 2 cards. Let's see, I forgot the other one. 1 for Frenzy, and then the second one for Diabolic Power. All right, and last up, Tatiana gets hit. She has 2 life left. Remember, 10 damage is going through. She gets a gray die. All right, let's see what she gets. has to go into the castle. She gets 1, so 9 damage is more than enough to take her out. We fill her health and stamina up right here. Replace her hero token right here with her figure with her hero token. Overlord draws a card, which ends up being Rise again. Next up are the flesh molders. This master one's gonna go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here. The Overlord is going to use a dash card right here to go ahead and get another movement. So it's gonna get in range. 1, 2, 3. Right here, it's going to attack Shalara. It gets 2 yellow die and a blue die against her gray die and a brown die. It's trying to do 1 damage. All right, let's see if it can do the 1 damage right here. It doesn't even need to worry about range because it's right next to her. I think we have enough to do the damage. Let's go ahead and bring all this out. It's 5 damage and a surge against a defense. The surge is for 3 more damage, so 8 against 1. She takes a bunch of damage, so 7 damage and gets knocked out. All right, we remove her figure from the map right there. Her up on health and stamina right there. Overlord gets to draw a card, which ends up being Dark Charm. Alright everyone, it will be the hero's turn next, but I'm going to kind of do a mercy roll. Once they get knocked out, all 4 of them, like twice in a row, it's usually game over at that point. There is technically 2 more turns for Tyrus to take 2 more damage, but there's no way at all, even if the heroes could do whatever they want, like as if there was no minions on the board, they can't get all the way up there and unspellbind him. So the Overlord ends up winning the Heirs of Blood campaign. All right, everyone, thank you for watching the whole campaign. It was kind of like a warm-up. I do plan on, in the future, doing this. I got these 2 expansions a long time ago. I just punched them out. So the Mist of Hall right here. So I think this is the first part to a campaign. I only punched out stuff a long time ago, so I don't even know like what new stuff you add. And then we have the Chains That Rust expansion. I think this is the second part. It's going to take me a bit to, because I want to paint all the miniatures to have them painted for everything. I don't think I have the Lieutenant miniatures for the expansions, but I'll take a look at that. And I do want to play like the heroes better. I do think I didn't play them as well or didn't build them out as much. I've never fully finished a campaign other than during all these videos. So yeah, I will, in the long future, I will get around to this, but step 1 is to paint all the miniatures. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions for like when I do get around to this, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Good night.